footage. Welcome back on the Sales Show, everyone. I have invited Eric Lofholm, who has decades of sales experience working with Tony Robbins, with Jay Abraham, with the biggest sales gurus on the planet, has helped so many people have better sales and have more fun with their own sales. Welcome, Eric.
Simon, I'm excited to be here and talking about my favorite topic, making more sales.
Yes, that's what we want to help people here at the Sales Show. How can people fill the pipeline with the right people, and how can they have fun intensifying that into closing? Let's start with, what are you hearing in the markets from your people? How is sales going for people right now?
You know, what I'm hearing is AI, AI, and AI. Everywhere you turn around, that seems to be the conversation. And so I have been myself doing a deep dive into looking at AI and AI agents and all of this. So that seems like that's the big buzz lately.
And is it conducive to better sales, or are they just wasting a ton of hours learning new words?
It depends on who you're learning from. So, AI is, as I'm doing a deeper dive, what I'm learning is it can be an opportunity to become your thinking partner. And when you train AI to get to know you, and you're asking it for support on how to help you, we're talking about generating more leads, closing more sales, getting your day off to a great start with a great morning routine. These are types of questions that AI can help you with if it's trained properly. If you're just going into it and saying, give me a post for LinkedIn, I don't think it's going to be all that valuable. But the end of the day, AI is smarter than all of us. So it's how do you harness that power? Kind of like putting the reins on a wild horse. Get the reins on the horse and you get the horse to do what you want it to do. I think that's really where we want to be headed.
What are some questions that you're getting right now?
Um, that's really let's see, what are some questions that I'm getting? I think that yeah, social media is something that people are wanting to know. How do you be more successful in social media? I think a lot of people are struggling with mindset. There's a tremendous amount happening with the current administration, and people are. I got up this morning and took a look at the market. The market was down, I think, 400 points today. Yeah, it's challenging on mindset for people. A lot of selling is psychology. It's not just the tactics. And so it's, how do I deal mentally with things? Those are some of the thoughts that come to me.
And do you help them with mindset?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been studying mindset since 1988. I've had an opportunity to work with some of the best in the world. And one of the things that if we did an affirmations class with all your listeners, and I tasked them and I said, you have 10 minutes, go create, 5 or 6 new affirmations. And they all went and did it. And they came back, and we're on a Zoom, and you got 100 people in the Zoom. And I said, okay, who would like to go first? And somebody volunteers. And they said, okay, I did the assignment, Eric. I worked on my affirmations. My new affirmation is, I am unlovable. No one would ever say that in an affirmations class. Yet people are saying that all the time. They're saying I'm unlovable. I don't deserve success. I'm a middle of the pack salesperson. I don't like how I look on video. And these are very powerful statements. They're beyond affirmations, they're declarations. So we're literally speaking to the universe, declaring, I want this to come into my reality. I don't like how I look on video. I don't like, I'm unlovable. And so teaching people how to go in and work with these thoughts that they've had for decades, and recreating those thoughts in a more powerful way will recreate their reality.
So what's your process? Do you extrapolate current beliefs, deactivate some, activate some others?
Yeah, it starts with awareness. So when somebody's declaring, I'm not good enough or it needs to be perfect, it's understanding that that was an erroneous belief that got in their head when they were 4, 5, 6, or 7 from their mom or dad or somebody that had influence on them. And then the thought came in and they latched onto it and they said, this is who I am. And what I've been taught by a master named Steve Hardison is that's not who you are, it's who you're being. And being implies choice. So if I say I am unlovable, that's a fixed mindset. If I say I'm being unlovable, then I could choose to be something else. And so it's catching the thoughts. That's the first step, is to become aware that it's not who you are, it's who you're being. Being implies choice. Now I can start noticing. We're good. If we take a look, we're good at seeing what's happening in our head. Get out our pen, write it down, or get on our computer and type it, and become aware that that's what we're declaring. And so now it's about replacing that thought with a different thought. I used to have a thought that if people got to know me, they wouldn't want to be around me. So I had that thought. I was unaware of it. And one day I took the methodology that we're discussing and I took a look. And I noticed to myself, I had this push energy to people like this. So I'm trying to do business with somebody and I'm pushing them away. And so I recreated that thought. I take every relationship deeper, including my relationship with you. So a younger version of me, I'd come on this podcast and that would be it. Podcast would be done and on to the next thing in my life. And now I look to take every relationship deeper because you and I could create millions of dollars in value for each other with your smarts and my smarts and your commitment and my commitment. If we chose to, and we looked for ways to help each other and open up doors for each other, we just, you and I on this, we're just meeting right now, we can create $1 million or more in value for each other. And so that's an awareness, because in sales, so many people are transactional, meaning they look to close the deal. Okay, deal's closed, on to the next one, instead of going deeper in the relationship. And that's really where the riches are. And so that was created out of this methodology of, instead of saying if people get to know me, they won't want to be around me, I take every relationship deeper, including my relationship with you. And that's a multi-million-dollar thought shift.
Absolutely. Now, most people don't tell me I'm unlovable. So, what they tell me is, Simon, last week we discussed that I should call past clients. I didn't call them. Something in me has avoided it. That's what I hear. Is there a belief? Is there a mindset thing in there?
Yeah, the mindset is, it has to do with where you're looking. So if I'm looking here at how's the other person going to respond? So my goal is 25 or more reach outs every day to grow my business.
Mm-hmm.
So text, email, phone call, walk in, whatever. And the majority of those people, of those 25 that I reach out to, they're going to say no, or they're going to ghost me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm smart. So if I look over here, how are they going to respond? Well, my evidence tells me they're going to ghost me, or they're going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking over here and I've got feelings of fear of rejection, which is, I think, wired in us as human beings. So I don't look here. I look over here. Now, it took me 100,000 cold calls to figure out what I'm telling you, but this is also a multi-million dollar idea. So you look over here and I focus on the activity. So my goal today is 25 or more reach outs. And when I do the reach out, here's the thing. When I prospect, I win. When I book the appointment, I double win. I win no matter what. So if I do 25 reach outs today, I go 25 wins. If I book 4 appointments, I got 4 double wins. I go 29-0, and I'm winning all day long. The person that you're describing who can't get themselves to do it, they're over here, they're looking over here, and they're not doing it. And it has to do with where they're looking. And if they did what I'm teaching right now they're not doing this over here because no one's ever taught them that. So maybe they're learning it for the first time right now. They literally could transform their prospecting like that quickly based on where they're looking. And this is why the thoughts are so important, because thought is the precursor to action.
And that's the mindset shift right there. I call somebody and I don't get a meeting, I lost, right? But you say, no, no, that's win number 1 of 25 for today. Let's move on.
That's right.
Love
And
this.
one of the fascinating things is I closed a deal recently with a VP of sales. I've been prospecting him since 2023. He never responded ever. I think I reached out 9 times. I counted it up because I looked at the history. And on the 10th time, he responded. And I just closed this deal. Now, most people would never have reached out 9 times because, first of all, they wouldn't have reached out once. If they did and they got ghosted, they reach out a second time, they got ghosted again. Oh, they don't like me. They don't want to do business. They're not interested in my offer. Well, if he wasn't interested in my offer, then why did he just hire me? It wasn't that he wasn't interested. It's just for whatever reason, the timing wasn't right. He was busy. My offer didn't land, whatever. And so this is, it's magical. It really is magical when you shift your thinking. And, one of the things that people that listen to a show like yours, they may be very into sales tactics, like sales scripting and funnels and sequential marketing, and all that's important. And I know that too. I know those techniques. But if the mindset's not right, they're not going to do it in the first place.
That's so true. And is there a point where a follow-up gets annoying, where we turn into being a pest to somebody?
Pest only occurs in language. So if you don't use the word pest, you can't be a pest. Okay. It has to do with your perspective. So when I'm following up and I'm reaching out to somebody 9 times, I don't ever have the thought I'm being a pest. And I'm not saying that's the right thought, but it is a thought that motivates action. So I view myself as one of the best on the planet at what it is that I do. So I'm creating value for this person. I'm not going to reach out to somebody with an annoying offer. I'm going to reach out, generally speaking, my offer is help you make more sales. My core message is you're capable of more. Every one of your listeners right now, every single one of them is capable of more sales. They're capable of greater fitness. They're capable of more loving relationship with their spouse. They're capable of finding love. If they don't have their soulmate, they're capable of that. They're capable of a deeper relationship with their higher power. So I'm a stand for that with a focus on sales. And so it's the thing about pest would be a place to look. If I'm looking at I'm being a pest, if I'm over here, the only way I'm being is powerful, confident, adding value, making a difference for this human being. And if I show up that way, it's going to unlock levels of performance inside of me.
So that's almost like a daily ritual for people who want to prospect, to go through their affirmations first, if they're not 100% at that positive mindset, that they actually should go and do their affirmations first. Do you have a list of
You're
affirmations that you
close.
go through in the morning?
You're close to how I do it. So up here, you see those pieces of paper in the
I see
corner?
papers, yeah.
Okay, those papers are my statements. And my morning routine is to read those statements every day. Now they're not affirmations though. The difference between an affirmation and a declaration is a state of being. So I'm declaring something to the universe. I can declare I'm unlovable. I can declare I take every relationship deeper. Affirmations are thought of as only positive. So how I created those statements, and I was taught this by a master named Steve Hardison. Eric, catch your declarations, not your affirmations. What are you actually declaring? I'm not good with money. I used to declare I'm not an investor. And so, I looked at it one day. I'm like, if I keep being not an investor, I'm going to be broke in my mid 70s. I'm 75 years old, being flat broke because of a word. I'm not an investor. I removed the word not. So those are declarations, not affirmations, and they've been consciously created. So all of your listeners, there's certain things that they're consciously creating, but there's other things that they're likely not consciously creating. Like if somebody's health is not very good, they're probably not consciously creating their health. So I'm drinking water. I consciously created that. I used to drink soda. I rarely drink soda now. I decided I drink water, and it's written into my morning routine. So my morning routine is over on that wall over there. And that's the statement. There's different things that I do as part of my morning routine. Things I review my goals, for example. Most people don't have goals. And if they have them, they're tucked away in a shelf or they're on a computer file. We want to bring them to life. Print them out so you can see them. And you put these thoughts in your mind at the start of your day and throughout your day. And now you're focused on going out and winning and creating results as opposed to fear and worry.
You are
There's
giving me
nothing
an
wrong with
idea,
fear and
Eric.
worry, but
You
it
are giving
creates
me
a
an
certain way
idea.
if you're in worry.
There is something that I will try out in the Sprint Club. I'm inspired by you, by your declarations. No,
Yeah.
you call them statements. Statements, right?
They're statements and they're declarations. Affirmations are statements too.
Mm-hmm. What's
And
the
if you
difference?
want as a gift to you, I paid a guy $45,000 to teach this to me. And if you'd like me to spend an hour with you, I'll spend an hour with you and I'll walk you through the whole methodology so you can have that in your life. If you want that, let me know.
Absolutely. And the idea, so in the Sprint Club, we started by, we want to add 5 to 7 income streams to our life. So I started with 3, 4, sales related ones, subscriptions, licensing, IP, these kind of things. And then in January, I found a way to make money with options trading, which is so much simpler and lower risk than I thought. And it's simple, it's repeatable, it's low risk. It's kind of printing your own money. It's it it's I wonder why it's legal, because it is so simple. And I'm sharing my trades live in the Sprint Club with 217 people. Not even 10 of them follow the trades. And I'm always wondering, it's so simple, right? They have just to click. But now you're giving me this idea. In their mind, it doesn't say, I'm a great investor. I'm a great capital allocator. I put $1 in, I make $1.3. Probably there is a different thing in there that says, I put $1 in, I lose it.
Yeah, and it'd be it'd be interesting for you to explore that with them. And to have that be one of your calls if you guys meet as a group and say, there's a small number of you that are taking action on this investment strategy, and 80% or whatever the math is aren't. And so I'm curious because they have a thought. Thought is the precursor to action. So the ones that are doing it have a thought, and the ones that aren't doing it have a thought, and you find out what's the thought that's holding them back. And one of the things about resistance is that often what stops people is resistance. And so you can teach them that they can take action in the face of resistance. And you could also teach them, they go, well, it's too risky. You say, okay, well, why don't you do this? Take $1,000 and be willing to lose it and put the $1,000 in and see what happens. And if you lose it, you lose it. But you lose $1,000 all the time on stuff. That's marketing, right? We do marketing. We run the ad. We get the trade show booth, right? We do whatever. We're making an investment, and it goes or it doesn't go. So they're probably used to doing that and say, look, treat it like a trade show. Treat it like a Facebook ad. Put in $1,000 and see what happens. And if it works, then you can scale it. But yeah, there's a thought that's holding them back, because thought and language is upstream from action. And what's upstream from thought or language is being. And I didn't make that up. That's what I invested 45 grand with and studied this guy for 3.5 years. Not a guy, a brilliant thinker. He's like a J. Abraham, but for the mind. I've gone out and studied the top people in the world for decades. You mentioned Tony Robbins. I worked for Tony as an employee for 3.5 years. I immersed myself in his company because I always want to go out and get the best minds, learn from the best of the best, And that's one of the things that my life's been about, because I know I'm capable of more. And as well as I do, I'm capable of more now.
Beautiful. So one of your declarations is I I br- I go deeper in relationships, including this one, right?
That's right. I go deeper in every relationship, including this one. And what that did for me when I started being that, if I'm going to take a deeper relationship with you, I can't have this kind of energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's the opposite of going deeper. So, for example, because of who you are, you know the name Dan Kennedy.
Yep.
So I got on Dan Kennedy's stage. I spoke at his super conference in front of 1,100 people. Like that's very prestigious, and it's not easy to get on that stage. So I get on the stage, and so now I'm positioned to go way deeper with Dan Kennedy because I do something different than him. I'm a sales guy, he's a marketing guy. So I can add incredible value to the Dan Kennedy community. And I knocked it out of the park on that stage, and I never followed up with him. It was just like I left millions of dollars on the table because I had that energy of the push away energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get that close to a Dan Kennedy by him inviting you onto a stage at that level, it's teed up to go deep. And I didn't have the vision at that point.
What would you do different this time?
What I do different is I would probably send him a gift in the mail. I would ask him if I could get a call with him. I would explore, how was the feedback? How I got on the stage is I was interviewed by Bill Glazer, his partner at the time, on his protege interview. Like what you and I are doing, I did that for them. And they got so much great feedback. That's how they invited me. I never asked to be on that stage. So the next step would have been, hey, we got great feedback from the CD. Did you get great feedback from the speech? Okay. So I would say to him, I have a knowledge base different than what you're teaching. So you're teaching marketing to all these people, and a lot of them have gaps in selling. And so I could be your guy. I could be the guy to help fill that gap. What would you like me to do? And also, I have an audience of people I can bring to you if that's of interest, but where can I add the value? And he would have been like, oh, well, here, here, and here. And I would have done, Russell Brunson and him. Russell took it as deep as you can get. I think Russell bought the company, and those guys are tight. I don't know. I would have taken it to that level, but I would have taken the relationship deeper. And, being in the speaking world for I'm in my 27th year, I have thousands of relationships. And I probably left $1 billion on the table. Now, I'm 54, and my vision's to live to age 110. So I haven't even hit the midway point of my career yet. So there's plenty of time to do what I want to do. But that was a very significant insight. And there are people on this call right now that are they're watching this or listening, and they're transactional. And they're as soon as they close the deal, they're on to the next one. And they're leaving massive opportunity because of their thinking, and they're smart, so they're really good at marketing, and they're people that are following your information. These are highly intelligent people, really bright people, but the thinking can take them to a whole nother level.
This is super, super interesting. I will make it, I will go deeper. I declare that I will go deeper into this topic of statements and declarations beyond affirmations. Very interesting. And you've mentioned prospecting. You want to reach out to 25 people every day. In this time when they are getting so many messages on LinkedIn, via email, how do you make your message relevant, personal, welcome in this sea of messages?
Yeah, well, the problem with AI is AI can send 10,000 messages for you a day. And so there's people sending out all these messages, and it's just crap. And so That's just a waste of time. And I guess maybe you get 1 out of 10,000 and they justify it, but it's all in personalized messaging. It's all in who are you being when you're messaging. If I'm sending personalized messages, that's going to work. If you're sending messages that are relevant, that are connecting, people do things for self-serving reasons. So you've got to speak into the listening of the person you're marketing to. If you're going to call, text, prospect them, what's the angle? How are you going to approach them? Right? And so you need to have that angle. And if you have that angle that connects with them, and even with that, a lot of it's not going to land. And you also want to reach out to them in multiple ways. I'm more on Facebook than LinkedIn. You would think, oh, Eric's a LinkedIn guy. If you're prospecting me, you're going to have a 50 times greater possibility of response if you Facebook message me versus LinkedIn. And some of you have a mindset that you don't prospect on Facebook. I make a lot of money on Facebook. So you want to fish where the fish are. There's more people on Facebook than are on LinkedIn. I'm not saying one's better than the other. But if they're not responding on LinkedIn, you might as well try them on Facebook. And you don't have to be their friend to prospect them on Facebook. So you want to think about, I guess the key takeaway, speak into the listening of the other person. That's what's going to land. That's what's going to connect.
I just found you and connected. We have 18 friends in common. I'm curious who they are after the show. I'm going to check them out. This is fascinating. So you say fish where the fish are, don't come with preconcept notion. And is there anything that works better than others for your clients, like audio or video versus text, or is it the mix?
Yeah, it's a mix. And I think audio messages, personalized audio messages are great. And the thing is, like, it's not about numbers. We hear in sales, it's the law of averages and it's all about numbers. And it's not really numbers. I mean, you think about certain relationships. Certain relationships are far more valuable than other relationships. And if you just do a better job of taking relationships deeper and taking the right relationships deeper. I've been with my sales mentor. We haven't spoke about him yet, but Dr. Donald Moyne, arguably the brightest sales mind ever. When Jay Abraham looked for a sales coach, he hired Dr. Donald Moyne. And he's been my mentor since 1994. And now he's my business partner. And so we do AI sales scripting courses together. We just re-released the first NLP-based sales book ever called Modern Persuasion Strategies. So he started coaching me in 94, and I've stayed with him all these years, and now we're business partners, right? So certain relationships, it's not about volume, and I'm not down on running numbers, but if you step back and just slow it down, here I had a relationship with Dan Kennedy that I treated as a transaction. If you guys know Dan Kennedy, you know how stupid that was. It was just stupid, right? Here, prospect more, Eric. It's like, no, you just do this one relationship and take it deeper, right? And so if we can not be seduced by volume and how many zillions of messages I can send out with the VA pretending to be me on LinkedIn, there's better ways of thinking about it. And that's really the thing. I mean, with AI, we all can increase our productivity and you can send out a lot more messages, but it's not about that. It's about it's strategic action is really what it is. I used to think it was massive action. I don't think it's massive action anymore. And then I thought it was strategic massive action. I don't think it's that either. I think it's strategic action. It's not strategic massive action. Strategic massive action is too much action. You're going to miss stuff because you're so busy being busy. It's about slowing it down and getting a high quality strategic action in place. And it's studying masters, model what I've done. And if any of you out there are, I've learned from a bunch of them. So if you're learning from me, I've got Dr. Moyne and me, Steve Hardison, Tony Robbins, Jay Abraham, and others. And so I kind of blend it all into one, plus my own secret sauce on it. So go out and find the people that really know what they're doing and learn from them. That's going to accelerate your learning.
What are some strategic actions that you repeat daily? Like, for example, for me, it's I make 3 introductions before 11 a.m. I introduce other people. You say you make 25 outreaches. Do you have other strategic action pillars?
Yeah, I would go research the digital hub strategy. So if you go look up digital hub strategy online and find a video that Steve Jobs did, and I did a video based on what he taught. He co-created Apple. They kicked him out. He came back. Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy, and they became the highest valued company in the world based on their stock price. And the strategy he used was digital hub strategy. So go look, for all of you listening, go look that up and look at how you can apply that. It's where you're integrating multiple strategies. So it's not just email marketing or just video or just LinkedIn. It's the integration of the LinkedIn with a lead magnet to get them to opt in, with a compelling offer to guide them to a next sale. It's all of that combined. That's what McDonald's did. Some of you know McDonald's is a real estate company, and they buy the land and then they build the McDonald's. Where another fast food restaurant, they lease it. So it's an integrated strategy. It's real estate with joint ventures. It's not just a fast food restaurant. That's what makes it so powerful. So it's looking for those integrated strategies.
What are some things that excite you right now that are alive in you that you're learning, either being it podcasts that you consume, audiobooks, books, things that you are building?
I'm really all about AI right now and the integration of AI with all the things that we've learned from the Jay Abrahams of the world, and learning. My thought based on what I've been learning recently is that AI can probably makes me 100 times more effective. So if I learn how to use this thing that already exists, and if I don't learn how to use it, or if I use it for, write me a LinkedIn post, the gentleman I'm studying now, he's like, yeah, that's a waste of time. Forget that. That's nothing. What you want to do is, Eric, it's smarter than you. So you want to have AI learn your blind spots. You want to have it learn your weaknesses. You want to have it learn where you hesitate when you should take action, and have it work with you to be your partner in treating it like you would treat a coach. How you and I would treat Jay Abraham, to treat the AI in that way. And that's not how most people think about it. They think about it as this tool. And so these are shifts in thinking. And the people that really learned how to harness this thing, there's really no way to compete. It's just, those people are going to be so far ahead of everyone else in how they're able to make decisions. It's kind of like what the system you learned with the options trading, whatever that was, and how it's helping guide you. And if that's working, think of AI like that times 100, right? In your whole life, not just in one area of your life. So it's the thing that is crazy is it already exists, and the AI is free. There's no cost to it. It's $20 a month on ChatGPT. So it's learning how to harness it. And so I'm going to learn how to harness it. And I'm going to be one of the thought leaders in the sales training space. And I will be known as one of the world's leading experts in AI and sales, because that's my conscious creation. I'm going to go out and do that. It's so new. No one right now is owning that space. So the person that's going to own it are the people. It's probably not just going to be one. I'll be one of whatever, 10, 20, 50, 100, whatever it is that has it at that level.
Who's your favorite client to work with?
I'll wrap with this question, because I've got to get on my own podcast here in just a little bit. I do a daily podcast for 15 minutes that's going to start here in a few minutes. But I like working with companies that want to grow. So I have a client that owns a mint. So they make these silver coins. These are 1 ounce coins. and they want to go to 1 billion a year in revenue. So I'm excited to be working with them to help them go to 1 billion a year. I've got a financial planning client that's building a team right now. He wants to go to 500 million. I'm excited about that. I have one other client that's looking to build a multi-billion-dollar company, and I'm actively involved in guiding the sales strategy. So those are really exciting projects to work on. I also like just working with just regular people, a real estate agent, a loan officer, insurance salesperson. They might be a one man shop, and they're hungry. I guess the thing that really motivates me is somebody that's hungry, somebody that really wants it and values the level of expertise that I can bring to the table. That's somebody that I really enjoy working with.
Eric Lofholm, everyone. Thank you, Eric, for being on the show. Excited to continue our conversation going even deeper. Where can people find you?
Saleschampion.com. Go to saleschampion.com, click the start here button, sign up for Bronze Protege. It's free. It comes with your own AI sales coach. That sales coach is trained in my methodology. It also comes with a sales course. So saleschampion.com, hit start here, sign up for Bronze Protege for free. I'm on all the social medias. Connect with me on social media. And if any of you want to have a conversation with me, just reach